Hello everyone, welcome back. I'm Supurplayur301, and I know this is late. Technical difficulties, life, everything goes in the way, but we're here to finally conclude our road to E3. We have a 3-part series. Today, which will be Wednesday, is Nintendo. Thursday, we're gonna do my top 5 moments to look out for, and then Friday, the day before the first press conference, we're gonna do my top 5 bold predictions. I'm gonna kind of throw away the ones I did before because it's gonna be hard to track all of them. I'm gonna do just 5 predictions across the entire event on things that I want to happen. I might do 10, I haven't decided yet. But either way, let's get started with Nintendo. I waited to record this until now because as soon as I was gonna record it, they announced the Pokemon Direct. So I said, alright, I'll hold off for a day to see what happens. And Nintendo, I think is probably in the same boat as Microsoft in the fact that they need something big. They need to have a great press conference because one of the things that Nintendo, it's going to be easier for them to have an impact because they're Nintendo. Xbox, they have to prove not only we have the great consoles, but we have a lot of great games coming. Nintendo can literally reach in their hat and pull out anything and say, all right, we're going to make a new one of these, or we're going to make a new Metroid, or a new Kid Icarus, or a new Donkey Kong, or a new, literally take any of the hundreds of franchises they have and make a new game of it because they're Nintendo. Like, what do you know what I mean? So, number one, I think they're probably going to have the best press conference because I feel like they knew they had to do right by the Switch, and I think they knew they have to do better. And so I think we're going to see not only Super Mario Odyssey, but I think we're going to see a lot of big game releases. I don't know which ones yet, though. I mean, I don't know. Every Metroid Prime there's probably going to be a new Metroid game, but I don't know if it's going to be at this E3. I don't know if they're going to do it now because you have to look at the roster they've already accumulated. If you look at the big first-party games coming after the Pokemon Direct, we now know that we're going to be getting Pokemon Pocket Tournament Deluxe. We know that's going to come to the Switch. We know. And if you look at that, every month, almost every single month from here to December, they could potentially have a big first-party title. And so I don't see where Metroid Prime fits in here. And I also don't. Nintendo's not a company that likes to announce a bunch of games that aren't coming out for like a year, 2 years, 3 years. I think Breath of the Wild was like one of the few exceptions where they announced the title kind of right as when it was way too early. And so I think they're not going to do that again. I think they want to announce games that are coming out fairly soon after they announce them. And so I don't think we're going to get Metroid Prime at this E3, personally. I think that's going to be a game that's going to come out in 2018. Because like I said, when you look at the schedule of games coming out, where does it fit in? I mean, Splatoon 2 is coming out. The Splatoon 2 ARMS, Fire Emblem Warriors, Super Mario Odyssey, Rabbids Mario Kingdom, Xenoblade 2. There's so many games that have already filled in that monthly first party release that they're going by right now. If you've noticed, since the Switch came out, usually every month they have a big title that comes out. They had Mario Kart 8 Deluxe, and they have Breath of the Wild, and they have one big title. They haven't done like 2 major titles in 1 month. And so if they stick with that strategy of one big title every month, then I don't see where a Metroid fits in. I just don't see it. Unless Xenoblade 2 gets pushed back, which so many people think it is. A lot of people, they think it might have come out in Japan, but Nintendo, they seem to have it in 2017, so I guess we're going to see if that actually comes to fruition or if it will be delayed. And if it is, then that opens a spot for a Metroid game, but I feel like it would be easier for them to squeeze something in like a Smash Bros. Remake, or remake, or virtual. That's what I want. I mean, you know what? We can talk about all these first-party games. I want virtual console news at this event. Now, let's talk about Nintendo Switch Online, which actually sounds a lot better than what it was before. We know it's been pushed back. The actual big debut of it's been pushed back in 2018. But we know they switched from a couple of free games a month, rolling them out, and then a couple of free games you don't get to keep, to being more of a monthly like catalog, kind of like Xbox Game Pass. It just came out. Great, I love the Xbox Game Pass, and that's kind of like what they're going to be doing with like NES games. And he also said, I think that's going to be interesting to see how that works out. And we do know they've already come out and said that Virtual Switch on. Never going to get any GameCube games like they said and all that stuff. In my mind, I think they're 2 completely different things, so I wouldn't even link those 2 things together. But I really think they need to talk about something about Virtual Console at this event. I don't know what they have to say, but I really think they should say something. I hope that it's what they say it's going to be. It's going to have GameCube games. I hope it's gonna have 64 games. Maybe that's the way they can bring Wii U games over without remastering every single one of them. They can just bring, like, port it over. But what I'm really interested in is Wii Virtual Console, because remember, the Wii U gamepad had motion controls, and you could use a Wii mode on it, so it became more of a viable excuse to more of a possibility to emulate Wii games onto the Wii U. The problem is that the Switch doesn't work like the Wii modes. They don't have motion controls. There's no sensor bar. There's nothing like that. And so porting Wii games over would, in my mind, seem more difficult, because how do you port like Super Mario Galaxy over? How do you port these games that kind of rely on the motion control aspect of it for the full gameplay experience? In my mind, those can't just be simply added to Virtual Console. Those have to be tweaked and refined in a way that makes the gameplay work. And so I think that's the most interesting. I have no doubt if we do see it, it's going to be GameCube. It's going to be GameCube. It's going to be a Wii U. It's probably going to be 64. And if they don't add Super Nintendo games to the Nintendo Switch Online service, then they're probably going to add it to the Virtual Console. And so I think that, number one, the biggest thing to look out for is Virtual Console's event. I think that's going to be something they have to address. Even if it's not ready yet, even if it's not going to come out for a few months, they need to address it, because people are forming opinions. It's just like the Pokemon event. Everybody was sure Pokemon Stars was going to be announced because we kept hearing about it. Pokemon Stars coming out, it's going to be remastered on the Switch, and then they didn't announce it, and now everyone's been crushed. And the longer they wait to talk about things like Virtual Console or Pokemon Stars, the longer they wait, the more people are going to form their own opinions, and most opinions they're going to form aren't going to be very favorable or going to be very good for you. So I think that even if it's still a little bit away, still a few months, I think that they 100% have to address it. I think they have to address something about Virtual Console at this event. And we do know the event is going to be about 30 minutes, which is okay. If you watch their last Direct, wasn't a super long Direct, and they squeezed a lot of information into it. They used a different format than what they usually do. They kind of had like timeline set up and say, oh, here's something new, and it was like 2-3 minutes a game. And so I think that the fact they did all that in about 15-20 minutes, I think with an extra 10 minutes plus, from reading the descriptions, this is going to be solely Switch news as opposed to Switch and 3DS news. That bodes very well for them. And what else? Super Mario, we know they're gonna. I think Super Mario Odyssey is going to be their Breath of the Wild this year. It's going to be the big game they show off. They're going to have a lot of stage time developed to it. Maybe they'll have like a big setup, a big grandiose stage setup like they did for Breath of the Wild for Super Mario Odyssey. And I think that it's very smart they put these games very far apart, because they're two completely different games, but they're both their biggest mascots, so they have to do it that way. Once again, I think that both Xbox and Nintendo have very important jobs they both have to do at this event. I think Xbox, they have to sell a new system, and they have to also give us more games. They can, till we're blue in the face, show us how 4K gaming looks better than 1080p or even better than the Pro. They can do that till we're blue in the face, but at some point they have to show us what else is going to be there. There's no question that Xbox One that Scorpio is going to be the best place to play any third-party game. That's easily not even a disputable fact. What they need to do is prove to people the first-party capabilities, and they need to come out and they need to show first-party titles off that we care about. That they need to show some Japanese games. They need some Japanese productions, because people love Japanese RPGs. They need to really show that off. They need a sensible replacement for Scalebound. But all from Microsoft. That was a different video. I think Nintendo's the same boat. They've already sold the console, and it's selling very well. They just need to step production up and buy some parts. But what they need to do is now sell us on the long term. They need to tell us, okay, you bought the system, right? And we got a couple games out there, but here's what's next. Here's why you need to keep getting excited for our system. And it's been, honestly, the last week for Switch news has been a kind of a mixed bag. We got the Nintendo Online news, and that was cool. But then we got the FIFA news that it's probably going to be more of a legacy, something in the middle between a legacy edition and a current generation edition of FIFA. Because it's not going to have the journey. It's also not going to run on Frostbite. So it sounds like a PS3 Xbox 360 version. But they keep saying, no, it's a custom version. So I think it's somewhere in the middle. I think it's going to be kind of enhanced graphics over the two older systems. But it's not going to quite be the newer systems, which is kind of pushing me away from, even if I buy FIFA, which I wasn't planning on buying, even if I wasn't really planning on buying FIFA, but even if that kind of pushes me away from buying it on Switch, because the journey is one of the things I really wanted in the game. And so I think another game to look out for is, if you care about sports games, is 2K18. We know that's coming to the Switch, and it's going to be interesting to see if it comes to the Switch with, if when it comes out on the Switch, does it have a more, what's the word I'm looking for? Does it have any, is there anything taken away from it? Is it still the full NBA 2K experience? Is it the Legacy Edition or something in the middle like EA's doing? It's going to be interesting to see how that works out. Another thing is, because I'm so excited about this, Shaq Fu. If you purchase the NBA Playgrounds, you get a free copy of the new Shaq Fu game. And I'm so angry that I didn't buy an early copy of the NBA Playgrounds. I mean, I'm going to buy Shaq Fu because I don't care. I'm going to buy Shaq Fu. But I think number one, what they need to do is remind us, here's why you bought a Switch day one. Here's why you should be happy you got one, and everyone else has to pay extra $400, $500 plus dollars to get it. Because here's what's coming up. And I think if Xenoblade 2 is delayed, they need to tell us now, as opposed to waiting until like October and then telling us, yeah, it's not coming out. I think Harvest Moon is probably going to be at this event. I think, because that's pretty exciting. I know they announced a Monster Hunter game, Monster Hunter Double Cross, which I'm actually kind of interested in now. And on top of all that, I really, really want them to announce. I want more Joy-Con options. You know, but everything else, I don't care about anything else. Nintendo. Hi, I'm Paul. Reggie, if you're watching, Miyamoto, if you're watching, please talk about Virtual Console just a little bit, okay? Just a little bit. Like I said, even if it's not going to be out for another 3-4 months, even if it's still not ready, or might not even launch until the Nintendo Switch online store launches, give us something. Anything, literally anything would be better than what you're doing now, which is every now and again saying that, yeah, Virtual Console exists, maybe we'll talk about it later. You know, you need to say something, because like I said, the longer you wait, the more people are going to form their own opinions, and you don't want them to form opinions that are unfavorable, you know. And I think you did a great job coming out and fixing the NES, free NES program for Nintendo Switch Online, and being $20. That was a smart call too. $20 a year, that is insane. Literally, I can buy, like, for the price of 1 year on Xbox Live, I can buy 3 years on Nintendo Switch Online. So that's awesome. That is very smart of them, and I applaud Nintendo for being so affordable. But neither here nor there. Please, if you do nothing else at this event, please talk about Virtual Console. Please, 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 please. Sincerely, Super. So, I wish I had more to say, but honestly, other than the games that we already know exist, we don't really know what else is going on. Like I said, we know Super Mario Odyssey. We know the Rabbids game is probably going to show up either at Ubisoft or their press conference. We're not sure yet. We know that Fire Emblem Warriors is coming. We know Xenoverse 2. Xenoblade or Xenoverse 2. I can't remember. Maybe it's Xenoblade 2. I can't remember. You know, we know the few Splatoon 2, ARMS. You know, we know the games that are coming very soon. So I think that we should, you know, I think it's going to be interesting. I think it's going to be interesting to see how many of those games that we already know are coming out get a release date, if they even get talked about, and how many new games get announced here. You know, I wouldn't get too excited though. Like I said, Metroid, I feel like that's a 2018 game. And so I don't think announcing it right now would be smart. I think waiting, doing it later in the year, because you have to remember, this year is so stacked with games, Metroid doesn't fit in. And so I think that it's smarter to wait and just reinforce the games we already know exist, as opposed to just talking crazy, instead of just saying Metroid Prime or Metroid whatever coming soon, you know, and then that's it, you know, because people are going to want more news anyway, and you got to either decide to give more news now, or then you'll do what Nintendo does and wait 6 months for you to talk about the game again. So either way, I think Retro Studios is working on a new Metroid game, but I think it's going to be interesting to see whether or not that new Metroid game gets announced now, or if they wait till later, or if they announce it and then they'll talk about it for another 4 months. Or there's even a possibility, even though Retro is pretty much pointing at the fact they're working on Metroid Prime, because they keep, just go to their Twitter page and you'll understand. It's possible, maybe they're just teasing all of us, and they're working on something completely and totally different, and someone else is working on a new Metroid Prime. But once again, we don't know these things. We gotta watch out for E3 to see what happens. And that's what I gotta say about Nintendo. So like I said, this video will be coming out on Wednesday. Thursday, I'm making a video. I'm gonna do top 5 moments to look out for. Pretty much the top 5 things that you definitely should be watching at the TV. The most important, what I believe, important aspects of this press conference. That's gonna be on Thursday, and then Friday I'm gonna do, I think, 10, either 10 bold predictions on what I believe is going to happen, or the things that I think are gonna happen at this E3 this year. It's going to be, you know, on pretty much bold predictions that are so out of there. Some of them I've already said, but there'll also be a few that I haven't said before. But there's 10 things that probably won't happen, but boy oh boy, I hope they do happen. But either way, thanks for watching, guys. This is Supurplayur301 signing out.